まるで蜃気楼手を伸ばして蜃気楼真っ白に染まっても忘れないで
In this episode, even more aliens show up as Youmou makes her dueling debut. Hey there, my name is Rex, episode 3 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. This one was pretty good. Really crazy though, I guess, with the setup at the beginning, just in terms of like how it gets from point A to point B being the duel. It goes really quickly. So we get a little peek though at this alien that's supposedly attacking other people, and eventually it hits close to home at UTS as it attacks Mr. Yagi, who's cooking. It's real interesting too, again, because like everything just goes really quickly, because immediately Yuhi and Udius run off to try and find it, disguised or dressed up as a yakitori vendor. Eventually they do run into the alien, who's been caught or attracted by Youmou, who's cosplaying as this sheep. And again, like I said, just everything goes really quickly, but eventually now we find out what's going on, as Youmou figured out that the connecting thread between all of the alien attacks was centered around this one card, Magical Girl Meg-chan, a sheep girl. So just really, convoluted, and like I said, like it all makes sense, but I just think that in terms of like from the beginning of the episode to the beginning of the duel, things just moved really quickly, and it was not hard to follow what's going on. But again, when they stop to actually explain everything, yes, this is a Chupacabra alien that has a really crazy obsession with one card. It was an interesting dynamic to have that as well, to have a character like that. And I definitely know, I have known people like that. So it was just kind of funny to see here. And he's a funky looking alien too. He's a little Chupacabra guy with a robotic body, which again is kind of a callback to the Men in Black movies, but also his real face is a human face. So the human body's fake, the Chupacabra body's real, but the Chupacabra face is fake and the human body's real. Weird. But their duel begins, and as Manabu is also watching from the sidelines. Of course, he wants to get involved because he's with MIK, and another interesting interaction happens between Udius and Manabu, as Udius brings up the whole being a warrior thing, and that stopping a rush duel wouldn't be very warrior-like. So just kind of interesting little tidbits into Manabu, as that's what he needs to let the duel slide, or let them duel. So that's the duel. Youmou versus Chupataro, that's his name. And, it's a pretty neat duel. Like I had predicted, or like a lot of us had thought, there's still some tutorial aspects in terms of, learning about spell cards, but most of the duel is, again, focused on the actual duel, especially as Chupataro has a bunch of sheep monsters, and then we also get to see Youmou's monsters, which are all dragons, and not just that, but high-tech dragons, as they're called, or IT dragons. And I think that's also kind of neat, because yes, she does have dragons as her deck, which I think is cool, but they do have like a unifying theme of this technological aspect, so I think that's pretty neat. So then back onto Chupataro's turn. Now he summons his card waifu, and like I said, just they really play it up with how obsessed he is with this monster, and I think that's pretty funny. And again, we get the little tutorial with spell cards, and then Youmou has on her turn, summons her ace monster, and I think it's pretty neat. What's interesting though, it's an effect monster, but we don't get to see the effect used, as what she specifically uses to win is a spell card that boosts the attack of all her monsters. But this monster is pretty neat. Bluetooth Burst Dragon, and 2500 attack. I don't know how much defense, but probably not a whole lot, but still, pretty good monster. And on top of that, like in the end, in like the little end segment of the episode, they explain the effect, which is also very powerful, like destroys the monsters with 1500 or less attack. So good strong monster for a main character to have. We haven't seen Yuhi's boss monster yet, but we've encountered everyone else's. I think they all actually have dragons. I don't know if they're all dragon type. I believe Udius's is probably like a galaxy type, and then I would assume Yuhi's is a machine type. But we do know, from previews and promotional material, they all have like some kind of dragon ace monster. So that's kind of neat, like the three main characters having that. But that's the duel. It's a pretty quick duel, but I think this episode is very good in that like it kind of settles in everything. That from this episode on, from what you watch with this episode, this is kind of what an average episode is going to be. Yes, again, there's still like tutorial stuff, and yes, we did meet a new character in Chupataro, who is actually going to be a recurring character through some of the episodes, as we see in the end as we see in the preview. And on top of that, the very end where he calls Zuijo and is apparently working with him. And, we kind of knew this from like the little end portion of the opening, which, by the way, the opening I think had new visuals in it this episode. So just knowing that Chupataro is going to be like in more episodes, that's kind of interesting. But again, just this typical thing of like every episode is probably going to be along these lines. It's going to be structured like this episode, oh, alien shows up, deal with the alien in a duel, stuff like that. Again, still very tutorial and introducing a lot of things, but it was pretty neat seeing Yuumu duel, and that, she's pretty confident. I think now, though, we just need, like, a good duel with Yuhi to, show what he can really do, because the episode 1 duel, like some of you might know, I'm not, like, the biggest fan of, so I'm actually pretty now excited after this good Yuumu duel. I'm really excited to see Yuhi get a really good duel, but that's effectively the episode. I thought it was great. Like I said, this one just kind of settles things more into. I did, really like the last few episodes. I just think that, on principle of them being like episode 1 and episode 2, they had to do a lot of setting up and, introduction stuff, which I think was done well. But I maybe I'm just being a little too impatient in wanting to get into the actual meat of the series. But it's looking pretty good, pretty promising, especially as like, a lot is set up. So we'll see how it goes in the future. But let me know what you think in the comments below if you enjoyed this episode and what you'd like to see of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush going forward. But anyway, this has been Rex. Have a nice day.